Being 7 o'clock, Suzie, we ready? Let me know. Being 7 o'clock, I'd like to start our regular meeting. Welcome everybody tonight. And if everyone would please rise, we'll start off with a salute to our flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have 3 public hearings tonight, and I'm going to ask the town clerk, we have to do them separately. So we'll start out with public hearing number 1, and I'll ask our town clerk, Karen, to read the proclamation, please, of the public hearing.
Yes, these were all advertised together in one notice, so I'm going to read it, how it was advertised. Town of Victor proposed local laws to amend Town of Victor Code. Please take notice that the Victor Town Planning Department has proposed amendments to Chapter 211-41 fences and Chapter 211-12 word usage definitions, Chapter 211-27.16 cannabis retail dispensary overlay district, and Chapter 83-4 construction codes uniform time limits. The draft local laws have been submitted for the town board's review and are on file with the town clerk. And please take further notice that a public hearing regarding the proposed local law amendments shall be held on September 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m. at the Victor Town Hall, 85 East Main Street, Victor. Written comments may also be directed to the Victor Town Clerk on or before 12 p.m. on September 9th, 2024. Okay, that's it.
We don't have a huge crowd here to discuss, but before, Adam, I think I'll have you talk on all 3 of them. Just come once to the podium, and if you would, and just make it easier, just to talk a little bit about the changes to the code, and then I'll see if anybody from the public wants to chime in. We'll just do this once.
All right, Adam Rizak, Code Enforcement, Town of Victor. We'll start with the revisions to the fence code, Chapter 211-41, and also 211-12. There's some definitions that we would like to add to Chapter 211 overall. Most of them will pertain to the fence code as revised. There's a few changes in here. Under Section B for exceptions, we wanted to encompass fences installed as permanent barriers for pool barriers, so we include that as, it comes in as one permit. If somebody's putting in a pool, they have to put in the barrier, so it's all under one permit. So it's a exemption that a separate permit is not required because the pool barrier itself is required as part of the pool permit. For the height of the fences, we wanted to discuss people who try to increase the height of their fence by either installing it on top of an earth berm or a masonry wall or a landscape wall, and just further define that the overall height is taking the berm or the masonry wall into account. And then the last is an exemption for corner lots to allow fences to be permitted forward of what we defined as the non-primary front line of their home, without having to seek variance. That's something that's been discussed since I started here several years ago, and we never really implemented, but a recent variance request and approval by the town zoning board, plus we were making all these other code amendments, we felt like it was a good time to propose it. So with that, I can answer any questions on Chapter 211-41.
Okay, thanks. Does anybody at the board have any questions?
I reviewed the modifications, and they all seem very reasonable, and they make perfect sense.
Okay. Alexis, you good? Yeah. Anyone from the, thank you, Adam. Does anybody from the public have any questions or any comments on these 3 changes? Okay, I'd entertain a motion then to close the public hearing.
So moved?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I should have mentioned that Supervisor Marin is necessarily absent tonight, and Supervisor, or Town Councilman Guinan is also absent tonight. So let's move on to the approval of minutes. All right?
I think, do we have
sorry.
to?
Oh, you got the other one?
Yeah, I didn't want to go through without giving you an opportunity to ask questions.
All right, so now we go to number 2.
So number 2 is Chapter 211-27.16, Cannabis Retail Dispensary Overlay District. This has to do with site plan approval because of the unique nature of that business. We would like to encompass any kind of change of ownership or change of use, I guess modified use for that business, whether it's volume, things like that, be required to come for site plan approval, change of ownership, instead of just, well, it was a retail dispensary, now it's another retail dispensary. We wanted the ability to review it each time.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
I really like that one.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
It gives you more
Control, yeah.
Yeah, so I agree with that
Just
too.
to check in on them.
Yep. Anyone in the public have any questions or comments on that? Anyone online? Susie? Okay. All right, and then let's go to,
Close that.
should we close that hearing?
One, two.
So we'll
So
close.
moved.
We'll move, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right, and then on to
Third and last.
third and last public hearing.
All right. The last code amendment that we are proposing is to Chapter 83-4, Section I, under construction codes, pertains to time limits for building permits and extensions. What we had discovered in our discussions as we were reviewing this is that our code currently granted the Zoning Board of Appeals the ability to extend time limits, and unfortunately, the Zoning Board of Appeals, as a local board, doesn't have the authority to overrule state uniform code. So we would like to remove that portion, and then also we discussed removing the 2 extensions, putting the number on that. The state model law does not limit the number of extensions. It leaves it up to code enforcement because every situation could be unique. And as a whole department, at least all the code enforcement officers and the fire marshal felt comfortable with just using the state model law and not putting those limits due to different situations. So I think that, as the state suggested, is probably the best way. We also did research to about 11 adjacent municipalities, including Ontario County, and the vast majority just used the state law. There were a couple changes as far as 6 months for invalid, 12 months for the first year. Some towns wanted it to be 3 months for invalid to get it started faster, but then gave them 8 months to complete the project. But we felt like the recommended 6 months and 12-month timeline was sufficient.
Okay. Anyone from the board had any comments on that? How about from the public? Anyone have any comments for or against that? Okay, then I'd entertain a motion to close that public hearing.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then a motion to close all the public hearing, right? We're done.
No.
No, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
No more.
3, all right.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
So moving on now to the approval of the minutes for August 26th. We've had a chance to read and review those. I'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And we had a special meeting on the 5th, and appreciate looking those over carefully. We had a slight correction, just drew for me, and a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved?
Second. I noticed it's not on the agenda,
Not
though.
on the agenda, yeah.
Right, they were sent out, but they weren't on the agenda for the 5th.
Do they have to be on the agenda for us to approve?
No.
No? Okay.
If you all received them and reviewed
Yeah,
them.
we saw
Yeah.
them. Okay. All right. So moved.
All right, thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Beautiful. All right, let's move on to payment of manifest number 17. I will ask Town Clerk Karen Bodine to introduce that for us for our review and approval.
Manifest 17 in the amount of $223,103.09 has been reviewed by the Victortown Board with the following accounts charged: general townwide, general outside village, highway townwide.
As you can see up on the screen, we have a practice of showing expenses that are in the range or exceed $5,000. And you can see Heidelberg materials for town projects of $141,615.99. Integrated systems for September hosting and software renewals of $6,081. Noco Energy for August diesel fuel of $5,477.34. The New York State Controller's Office for the court fees of June were $20,219. The Victor Central School District for the Franmark lease tax was $11,683.71. And Villager Construction materials for the road project of $7,505. Your total above-mentioned expenditures was $192,582.04. The total town expenditures minus those previous mentioned expenditures equals $30,521.05. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks. At this time, we open up our a meeting to any public comment or concerns. I'd ask you to keep your comments to 3 minutes. If anybody's coming to the board that would like to address the board or discuss any issues and bring before the board. Susie, do we have anyone online? No comments online? We had a pretty extensive, I'll move on to reports of town officials. We had a pretty nice packet with from the Parks and Rec with the historical preservation. I thought our fire departments, our sheriff department, a lot of good information in there with some retirements and some hires and promotions and looking to see how busy they've been. Of course, all you have to do is drive around town to see our patrol paying dividends, because I can't come through Victor without seeing someone pulled over for a citation here or there. So I'm pleased to see that our additional funds are being put to good use for that. Finance report was in there, and the economic development from the LDC. And I have a proclamation tonight that I'd like to read. And we have a guest in the audience. Holly Dutcher works with these children every day. And this month is Childhood Cancer Month. And I'm excited to be able to read the proclamation. And I'm also excited to be participating this Friday in the Teddy Bowl Camp Good Days fundraiser with a football game between Victor and Canandaigua, which hopefully will bring a nice crowd. And we'll get our assistant coaches helping us out this week with the kids coming up and running some plays. But I'd like to read this proclamation and have it in the record. Whereas cancer continues to be the second most common cause of death in the United States after heart disease, and whereas childhood cancer is a traumatic and extremely heartbreaking reality, and whereas our community as well as communities all across our nation experience this reality more often than we may be aware of, and whereas in the year 2023 alone, 44 local children were diagnosed with cancer, 9 children relapsed in cancer, and our community lost 13 sweet souls. And whereas the process of a child diagnosed, treated, or in a worst-case scenario, suffering a loss of life is an incomprehensible trauma for a family to bear, and whereas the not-for-profit organization known as CURE, Childhood Cancer Association, is a 501c3 founded in 1976 by a group of Rochester, New York area parents that focus solely on addressing social, emotional, financial, and educational needs of the families whose children have been diagnosed with cancer or chronic blood disorders. And whereas the town of Victor recognizes the pain and suffering that area families and their children experience at the hands of this dreadful disease, and whereas September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, now therefore the town board hereby proclaims September 2024 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the town of Victor and encourages the entire community to join in raising awareness in support of affected families by decorating homes, businesses, etc. with gold and yellow bows to remind us that children are our gold. Dated this on the 9th day of September in 2024, and is signed by Supervisor Jack Marin. And I really would like just to take a second, if the town board could come out in front. Susie will take a picture, and I'd like Holly to accept this proclamation on behalf of all those families. Right in the middle, Holly.
You don't want me in that picture.
That's right, Drew and I'll be the bookends.
Ready? One. All others. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for all you do, Holly. I have extra copies, if you want to take them, if you. Nice copy. Thanks for doing that. At this time, I would ask if Drew or Alexis have anything that they'd like to report on, or things that they've been working on in the committees and things of that nature.
I guess really the only thing is solar task force. You'll see a 6-month extension on the moratorium for the agenda tonight. We are really close to being done. I don't think we're gonna need all 6 months. I'm hoping to have everything wrapped up and approved by this board by the end of the year. I think we're right at the point where we're just crossing our I's and dotting our T's on a draft, and then we'll probably bring it to the whole board and go through the process of bringing it to planning, conservation, the whole 9.
Good. Yeah, I think, like you said, the rest of us are very anxious, the good work that you guys have been doing. And I think when we get ready to finish it up, we'll have a workshop, and like
Yeah.
you say, bring the rest of the board into what you guys have been working on, and we're excited about what you guys come up with. So, absolutely. Drew, do you have anything?
I don't have anything. The only thing I want to mention, I do have my first liaison meeting with the planning board tomorrow. I do have a conflict with that, so I cannot attend. My plan at this point would be, to watch that video within the 24 hours and follow up directly with the board, unless somebody would like to attend. But I think that
What time is the meeting?
7.
7 p.m.
7?
tomorrow.
I'll watch it for a little bit, but I want to rush home for the debate. No, I can cover that tomorrow.
Okay.
I can
Thank you.
cover
I
that.
can't, so.
All right, thank you very much.
Tomorrow at 7?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll cover that. Thanks for that. Also, and again, I'll mention this again publicly, Drew is put forth a tremendous amount of effort, and I hope that we get a nice turnout. We're supposed to have a beautiful day for Climb Aboard on Saturday, and Drew and his crew and everybody involved have been working tirelessly for that, and I know the kids certainly enjoy that day, and it's a long day, but I think it's well worth it, and it's a great community event. So good luck with that, Drew. Break a leg and have some fun.
Thank you.
So really appreciate that. Anyone else? That's it. So let's move on to the resolution portion. All right, we've got a few resolutions, so we'll go kind of slow, so I'll try not to make any mistakes. Yes, resolution number 7 tonight is going to be pulled, and I will discuss that as well in exec a little bit later. And right now, we will start with resolution number 1. Resolution number 1 is the authorization for the town of Victor to accept funds from the William G. Pomeroy Foundation for New York State Historic Marker for the Gillis Homestead.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution number 2. This is the authorization for the town of Victor to accept funds from the Empire State Development Corporation for the Adams Street Extension Project.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution number 3. This is another accepted donation for the Community Pops Band and Chorus, a donation from Gypsum Mills Cooperative.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution number 4, but it's nice when these resolutions are all donations, you know. Resolution number 4, accept a donation for the dog park leash post holders.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I like the Willie Goat Company providing that. That was,
I like the photos.
yes, the photos, the dogs really appreciate those leash posts, and I think that's pretty cool.
It's not just a Willie Goat, it says a Willie Goat quote.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, this dog park has taken off. It really is. It's been, I was somewhat skeptical at first, but it is, I drive by and I actually pull up into the park to see folks, and I mean, they're loving it. I mean, it's those dog lovers, and I mean, I love my dog. I gave her a bath this morning, but I haven't brought her out in public yet. But they are really enjoying it. Resolution number 5, authorization for the purchase of 2 powder-coated steel leash post holders for the dog park at Harlan Fisher's. And this, of course, is covered by the donation from Lynn and Richard Crowley.
So moved.
Second, and certainly, thanks to the Crowleys for that donation.
Absolutely. Resolution number 6.
We have to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor of number 5?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution number 6. This is an agreement, a research foundation for the State University of New York at Buffalo Center for Inclusion Design and Environmental Access. And Alexis, I know this is a project you've been working on with Mike, and why don't you just talk about it a little bit, if you don't mind?
Yep. So, we were talking at the beginning of the year about doing baby changing stations at all town public bathrooms, both men and women. And there was actually kind of at the same time, we were looking at adult use changing stations, and kind of got that idea from Village of Fairport just put one in, a new bathroom that they have on the canal. Town of Canandaigua has one at their new all-inclusive playground, and the State Thruway Authority has put them at a handful of their rest stops along the thruway. And definitely a push to be more inclusive and accessible to people of all different needs and backgrounds. I worked with Brian, who connected me with Anita from a group called Rochester Accessible Adventures. They work specifically on trying to make, parks, recreation, etc., accessible to people of all abilities. And one of those is people who, may need an adult changing station, meaning you have a, adult child or, grown child, or, a full-blown adult who may need help in the lavatory. And there's not a lot of places really that have these. And, it's hard for a family to travel, to go out to, enjoy a day, etc. There's people like that in our own backyard, people around the community. And I think actually Monroe County is moving to put some of them into their county park bathrooms. So this study, they're going to come in we've identified, really I think the biggest uses for our town parks. So Dreyer Road and Victor Municipal. We're just going to be putting baby changing stations only over at Bluebird and Town Hall. Not really a place where we're getting too much traffic, where it just might not be, maybe needed the most. But those 2 parks, we do have a lot of events, etc. And this organization, they specialize in inclusive design. They go above and beyond just, speccing something out for a adult changing station. So they'll be going and looking at, ADA accessibility, 1, as a baseline, and then 2, making recommendations, on the adult changing stations, but even more to make the town park bathrooms more accessible to people of all abilities. And then from there, we're looking into different grant opportunities to hopefully retrofit the bathrooms.
Okay.
Any questions?
Drew, any comments?
I don't know. Foremost, I'm going to say that I'm certainly in support of inclusivity and creating environments that are, adaptive to all people and maybe meet the most needs that we can meet. Just looking at the contract, I'm kind of torn on it, to be honest with you. I agree with the baby changing stations. I would be certainly supportive of that across all the facilities in the town. This is an issue I guess I'm a little bit torn on personally. Maybe I just don't have the data of this is the user need that we have per year. The cost do we have the numbers in the community. Certainly, just because there's one or two people doesn't mean we wouldn't do that expense. I guess I just don't know if this is something that we truly need. Speaking to this particular resolution, though, I look at the costs. So someone coming out from Buffalo, it's 6 hours of work, 2.5 hours is travel, 2 hours is on site. So I guess the question I ask myself is, why can't we just send pictures to somebody? Like, it's not that hard of a facility to see and to understand. So I don't know. I'm not saying I'm not in support of it. Certainly, I'm in support of creating inclusive environments across the town, and we've done a number of those types of projects. I don't know if it's something needed. I'm torn on it.
I read it, and Brian, feel free to chime in. I mean, I read it, and I was thinking, how many changing tables can we buy for $1,700? I mean, if we were just thinking changing tables, but obviously the study is bigger than that. So Brian, maybe you can offer some insight into it as well.
Brian Emelson, Director of Parks and Recreation. I mean, my experience, obviously, with this audience is extensive. Just so you understand, at Dry Road and Victor Municipal Park, several times a week, Cobblestone Arts Center, as well as many of the Ontario ARC group homes, use those parks for a variety of reasons. From Victor Municipal Park every Tuesday and Thursday, the supervisor authorizes them to get a free rental to use it for what's called their WOW program, their Without Walls program. And so they bring on those 2 days an arts-based program into the lodge over at Victor Municipal Park on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they utilize that facility as the primary caters to postgraduate. So typically an individual with developmental disabilities is in a placement oftentimes until they're 21, and then they go into a post-secondary placement in a program like this or a day half program. And so there's several in those areas that also utilize public facilities like Victor Municipal Park and Dry Road Park for those programs, largely because they're accessible, affordable, and so their own transportation companies, whether it's Cobblestone with their vans or ARC with Medical Motors or one of their transportation companies, utilize our park facilities. Oftentimes it's a picnic shelter. In Cobblestone's situation, they utilize the actual enclosed lodge. So they would potentially benefit from having it. I gave this project to Mike and Alexis as a growth opportunity for them, okay, and have tried to pull back from it. But I'm a Parks and Recreation person, so I did my research and I looked at what they have at Motion Junction, which is the facility that Councilwoman Alexis is mentioning, and so it's a little bit beyond just the actual table. So if you go into the restroom facilities at Motion Junction, you not only see a typical bathroom facility, but you see they have several bathrooms. They're identified as everyone's bathroom. So it's not men, women, or gender neutral. It actually says everyone's bathroom.
Right.
I think. And they have lower level toilets, okay? So it not only with grab bars, so it's not only making it easy for a person in a wheelchair to transfer from the wheelchair to the toilet, but it's also lower level, so it fits the needs of preschoolers better. So that's unique to that. The sinks are lower level. They have larger handles. The doorways are not only ADA compliant, but they're actually even wider, because even though it's 36 inches wide and it might meet ADA requirement, there's something about going beyond that. You know, surprisingly, when we moved into our rec center, I realized that they had hung the actual stall doors inappropriately, and therefore a person in a wheelchair couldn't really get into the bathroom at a rec center that you would think that was built in summer of 2015 would be ADA's been around for
Right.
25-plus years. So I think it goes a little bit beyond that. Certainly, it's good debate to have with your group. I understand, the dollar amount. Maybe this is something that you table today and you take back, and Mike and Alexis work a little bit with Denise on seeing exactly, maybe you need to see more of a bulleted list identifying kind of what I've talked to here today. What I'm talking to here tonight is just based on what the users of our parks are beyond just the general public, where we do see folks like Cobblestone Arts Center and Ontario ARC, and there's over 8 group homes in Ontario County alone.
I think that's insightful information, Brian, in and of itself, because frankly, I wasn't aware that they were using those.
And I'd encourage you, just like we did with the dog park project, we didn't just build that in my eye. I looked at 5 dog parks with my park foreman.
Right.
To take a trip down to Motion Junction, which is a project that Denise from the Idea Center worked on, and her work's all throughout that, and it's really compelling to see that, because it's much more than just accessibility and inclusion. It's a space for everyone.
Brian, the mention of the ARC Cobblestone, that, and like you said, Dave, I mean, that's really good information to know. Now that you mention that, I recall seeing the Cobblestone bus there at lunch
Yeah.
very frequently over at Dryer Road. So
I saw them once. I didn't know they were
that's
there.
helpful, I guess. And then going along that same tune of, I'm certainly supportive of if there are cost-effective ways to achieve some of this stuff. So I guess the 2 questions are, is your background on as far as grant funding? Is this a reasonable area to suspect we might be able to find some funding? But maybe more importantly, I guess when I'm reading this, the hardest time that I'm having is, if we want to do this, why do we need to do this part of it? Why don't we just move to step 2 of it and start looking at what it costs to outfit and do that type of upgrade?
I think that's a totally legitimate question. I think there is grant funding. I think Alexis's work at the state level, she probably has ideas already. This might be eligible for a SAMS grant, which is State Municipal Facilities Grant, that the town has received in the past, that many communities do. Sometimes you build a skate park like Barrington do. Sometimes this more meets your more pressing need right now. But I think it's okay to ask questions. It's a 3-page proposal, and it's something that we want to ask questions, taxpayer money. But the question becomes, do you want to be known for this, or do you want to do it because someone else has already done it? And so I'd encourage you to go out and check out some other facilities, and maybe you can gather enough of that information that is not in this proposal, and maybe there's a way to do it more or less expensive. Maybe you can look at what it looks like down at Motion Junction, like I did, and it doesn't make it seem like it's just a baby it's just an adult changing station. Because I saw that in there, but that wasn't the whole spirit of what they had done there. From signage to playground equipment, it was communicated throughout the project.
Yeah, and I think that, Drew, actually, that's the mindset I went in with this, and it wasn't until I met with Anita, like, I was ready to go, let's get this spec'd out, let's buy these changing stations, let's find the money to pay for it, et cetera. And then I was talking to Anita about it, and she said, listen, and because I don't have too much experience in this field, my child doesn't have these needs. I haven't had a family member. I've had friends who've had children that have these needs. They brought it to my attention, but never like my personal experience using one of them. And the interesting thing she brought up to me was, which made me think, yeah, we should get it kind of studied and spec'd out and get some recommendations about the best way to do it, was she said, baby changing station, you could throw that up on a wall, no problem. You walk into a bathroom and a mom's changing her baby and you see their naked butt. Yeah, whatever, they're a baby, you're used to it. But, yeah, and the baby's not gonna remember in 10, 15 years, but you walk into a bathroom and you throw up an adult changing station and you go to use, there's a bathroom with 2 stalls in it, and that someone's put on the wall an adult changing station, and you walk in and someone who's 7 years old or someone who's 40 years old is getting changed by an adult. It's a matter of dignity. You want to have that privacy to it. And that's when Mike and I kind of looked at each other and were like, oh, didn't even think about that. You want to build those things in. And we thought it's important then to have someone come out, give us those recommendations, who's done it on many different levels before, and give us, you know, she'll give us a full list of recommendations to be on, to design beyond just ADA standards, beyond just, hey, here's where you should put it on the wall, sort of thing.
I think the movement across the board is more and more restrooms are becoming all gender, all access, right? And I mean, in the public schools, I mean, kids can, it used to be just men's faculty, female faculty, and now those bathrooms are just designated for anybody who wants to use them, right? So it's and I think that is kind of the wave, and, you know, there's a lock on the door, you go in there, it doesn't matter what the gender is, and using those. And I guess my last question would, you know, I mean, Brian, obviously, you know, the buck stops here, but the buck stops there too, meaning that your professional opinion, you think this is money well spent to get a really good extensive scope of what the possibilities are for these facilities?
You know, I'm not a get a plan and put it on the shelf type of professional.
Right.
I had a 2-hour meeting that Keith saw me in today, talking about coming up with a plan for something for Mead Square Park and helping the village revitalization of that downtown area. And I said, I'll tell you the same thing I told them today. I said, don't pay someone to develop a plan and then you're just going to put it. If you know you have the construction dollars to build something like they did down in Motion Junction, which I don't know if we do, if you know that you have the wherewithal to go get the grant money to make these more than just a changing table, right? Because you're talking, then I say go forward. If you don't plan on actually implementing what's in the plan that these folks develop, then I wouldn't do it.
Well, that's, I guess, that's where I'm,
So
that's where I'm having
that's
trouble
my
with it, because I have no idea what that plan
Could be,
looks like.
yeah.
And if we had a better idea of kind of, and I hate to use the
Cost
cart before the horse type, if we had a one-pager that talked about, okay, if we wanted to do these stations and some minor upgrade, this is the ballpark of it. These are maybe some grant funding things. It's in the budget.
Yeah.
We could easily budget. I don't really know what we'd be getting into, and I agree that you are not one of those type of people that takes the study and throws it on the shelf. But I also don't really have a good understanding of what the project costs and scope would really look like.
Here's what I propose. I personally would like to go see Motion Junction that you're talking about. And I also realize if we were to vote on this, you could kill it because there's only 3 of us tonight, right? If you voted no, it's done because we need 3 to pass it. I'd love for Mike and Jack to chime in on it. So my recommendation is, let's table it. Let's pull it. Let's not kill it. Let's pull it. Let's have Jack and Mike weigh in on it, and then put it up at our next board meeting.
Or maybe get some more information
Get
on what,
more
like,
information.
maybe Mike and Alexis can contact Denise and say, what did that cost to like do one? Is it
Yes.
50,000 or
Yes.
is it 250,000?
And Dave, to be honest with you, if we were going to vote on this and we said we're doing the vote, I would vote for it tonight. I would prefer to table it because I guess I don't mean to be impolite. I don't as much care about getting more opinions. I'd like to know a little bit more about the scope and the pricing of a build out of
I
it.
don't disagree with that either.
If I could just answer that question, and that's something that we're addressing in the study and why we're getting it done is to scope out what the price would be. I could, tell you how much it costs just to throw one up on the wall, but there's a lot more to it, so I don't want to get held to,
Right.
hey, it's going to cost $5,000 to put one on the wall, but oh, by the way, you got to take this wall down and this thing, et cetera.
And that's what the study will show us.
Yeah, that's what that'll show us. And on like the grant funding, there's a couple different avenues to go through there, especially for accessibility. There's a lot of different private grants. I'll say, like Brian said, from my experience in the state, this is a prime example for what's called, once was SAM, but is called CREST. It's member item money. And, I think with, possibly a new member not possibly, with definitely a new member of the assembly coming in. And, we currently have a great relationship with our current member of the state Senate. I think it's a prime opportunity for a SAM member item because it's right around what they get every year. And then State Parks also has a part of their CFA, part of the state CFA process, has grants available for parks, and I think this would also make a great application. I'd be happy to work on the actual application too.
I'm fine to vote tonight.
right.
I will vote in favor of it.
Okay, good. Then let's proceed. So I'll take a motion on resolution number 6.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good discussion, by the way. Thank you. And thanks for the information, Alexis, on that.
Yes. And I'd be happy to go with anyone to Motion Junction, or maybe we all go as a group, because if you haven't been to the park,
Where is
not
it?
even the bathroom, it's right across the street from Outhouse Park in Canandaigua. It's
Yeah,
amazing, yeah.
They got a huge grant.
yeah.
Yeah, they did. And they also got public and private funding for that. And they did a lot of fundraising too. It's one of the first really in the state. And I've seen actually a huge trend towards going to all-inclusive parks.
Kids, yeah. Yeah.
It's very interesting. So if anyone wants to go, I'm happy to carpool or meet you there.
I'll take my kids down there and see it.
They'll love it.
We've actually gone twice. We just haven't been since they opened the restrooms.
Yeah, they just opened this year. So
Yeah.
definitely go. I think they'll love it.
All right. Well, thank you, and we will be doing that.
Thanks. Moving on, resolution number 7, we are going to pull that one for this evening. And we'll go to resolution number 8. This is to set the public hearing to extend the 6-month moratorium on the review, approval, permitting, and/or construction of large-scale solar energy systems in the town of Victor.
So moved.
I'll make the second with just a question, just for my own knowledge. Are we restricted to one additional extension of this, or is there a number that we are able to hold
No.
ourselves to? Or
No,
We're not restricted, but the farther you push it out, the farther you're getting close to
okay,
being risky.
got it. Okay,
But like Alexa said earlier, I'm fairly confident we're gonna get this done and to the board within a month.
all right. Thank you.
So I
Yeah.
think by the end of the year, this thing's gonna be before.
Great. Thank you.
and we'd plan to rescind the moratorium, hopefully the same meeting that we approve the new solar code.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion. I got a
believe I
motion
have
and
a
a
second.
second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution number 9, this is our intermunicipal agreement for snow and ice with the county. They retain our services for County Road 9, County Road 42, and part of 41 in Mertensia to the Monroe County line.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Resolution number 9. Hang on a second. I'm
Just did
flipping.
9, right?
All right. Number 10, yep, my bad, hang on. Resolution number 10, this is the Strong Road subdivision, letter of credit. This is their first release, number 1.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution number 11, this is Willis Hill, Phase 2, letter of credit release, number 6.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution number 12, Willis Hill, Phase 2, dedication and maintenance bond.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Resolution number 13. This is our annual consideration of the mass gathering permit application for the Holiday Light Show at Victor Hills Golf Club. Well, they'll be setting up their Christmas light show again.
So moved.
Final year of it, yeah. So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Resolution number 14. This is, hang on a second. This is correcting the administrative error to the Town of Victor Code, Uniform Construction Code. And basically, it's a correction, taking out temporary and making it conditional.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Resolution number 15. We spoke to Mr. Kennedy last month, and this is the resolution for the hold harmless agreement to allow fence into the drainage easement, and we did that in consideration of the stipulations that codes and the highway department had on that hold harmless agreement.
Dave, in consideration of my professional relationship with this applicant, I recused myself from that initial. Can you guys take action on it then with my
No.
recused?
No.
It'd have to be tabled to the next meeting.
All right. Yeah, unfortunately, I think since I recused myself from the proceedings last time, it would be appropriate that I continue to do that.
I agree.
Okay.
So why don't we table this?
We'll
for the
table
next-
15 until the next one. Okay, no action on that one. Resolution number 16, this is Jennifer Brown's Fisher Point subdivision on the conservation easement, moving some things around a little bit there for her garden.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And resolution number 17, this was also an approval for a conservation easement swap for property located at 6850 Aldridge Road, and we talked about that with Gerber Homes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution number 18. This is after our public hearing. This is the proposed local law to amend Chapter 211-41, fences, and 211-12, the word usage and the definitions, to change it to what our code has requested.
So moved.
Second? Okay, I guess I'll second it. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
All right. So. Resolution number 19. After public hearing, proposed local law to amend 211-27-16, the Cannabis Retail Dispensary Overlay District.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution number 20. Public hearing, proposed local law to amend Chapter 83-4, Construction Codes and Uniform.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 21, deeming Lehigh Place a PDD application complete and declare this is Victor Town Board's intent to serve as a lead agency. And this certainly is just the beginning, basically saying that their application is complete. This is just the beginning of the process.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No. On that one, I just had a concern about, I know it was important for this one that, they were the same developer that owns the land next to where we want to put our highway garage, and we're going to offer us $200,000 for the light and approve a road going behind their property there to what would hopefully be our highway garage one day. But it just seemed, and I haven't been on the board obviously as long as everybody else, it seemed a little bit like a quid pro quo, and I don't know if it's allowed that we're allowed to do something like that, except that in agreement that we approve the PDD. But I wasn't sure, Frank, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, maybe learn more about it, I guess, down the road. But that's just why I didn't feel comfortable with the application as of yet.
Asking me?
I guess not right now. I guess down the road. Because I don't want to put you on the spot.
This resolution,
It's just for, yeah.
it's
But
just to initiate the seeker review, deem the application complete, schedule a public hearing. It's not a vote on the actual.
It's not a
yeah,
vote on whether it's going to happen.
yeah, which I understand.
I mean, that vote doesn't take place for a while now.
Yeah. That's why I just didn't,
I mean,
even at the
it's not-
beginning.
This resolution has no bearing on what the board ultimately decides in terms of whether they want to approve the PDD or not.
Okay.
This just initiates the review process, really. So, the EAF,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a type 1 action under seeker. So we would take lead agency, there'd
Yeah.
be a coordinated review to get input from all the involved and interested agencies. And then there would be a determination of environmental significance after 30 days by this board. And they might decide it's a pos deck or a neg deck. If it's a pos deck, then the applicant will have to declare environmental impact. So, Liaison, there are so many steps that could
Yeah.
potentially take place before it actually is in a position before the board at a vote of an up or down on the project. Sorry. There's so many steps in the review to still be done, the review process to still be done before it gets to the point where it's an up or down on the project per se by the town board.
Okay.
So this would initiate the process to flush out some of the questions and and concerns that board members and the public may have on it.
Okay, so even like if that's what they told us,
What do you mean?
that they said like they'd give us $200,000 for a light.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, because it's
I'm
not,
aware of
I know it's
that.
not in there. That's why I was like,
I'm not aware of any statement like that ever being made. I've never been informed of that.
okay.
I just know that they've come before the board with a project and, you know, again, this just really initiates the review process.
Okay. Okay,
So,
that's my own question.
I don't know if you want to, if that
No.
causes you to reconsider?
No. The motion to executive session? Is that what you're looking
Or we
for?
have to ask if there's any.
Oh, public comment.
Any
Board
comments?
comment, any board comment.
Any board comment, or any public comments? Okay, so then I would ask for a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss personnel, and I would ask Frank to attend.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. And we'll go upstairs to the boardroom for that.
Vote?
All in favor?